If you notice the pattern with their heads, it's kind of like what they're trying to do with those chairs where you lean on each other's knees and then you just create this giant table. I notice weird things, don't I? Calm is the fourth studio album released by 5 Seconds of Summer. This is a band I am getting a little bit more familiar with. I'm warming up to it a little bit more because when they were first releasing music, I couldn't tell entirely if they were like a 2010s boy band like One Direction or The Wanted, if any of you remember them. But recently I did have the distinct fun opportunity to hear them live. They were the second act in a concert for the Chainsmokers that I was viewing but technically working at. And without trying to overstate anything, I was pretty impressed with them, actually. They are basically a full band. They just happen to be 4 guys who are, I guess you could say, pretty darn handsome, and they just know how to rock out pretty good with a slightly more pop edge to it. And since 2014, when they first debuted their first album, coming now 6 years later, this is a perfectly fine pop rock album. There's not tons of standouts, but there isn't really anything in particular that's that numbing or that cringy or that would just make someone go, yeah, we're gonna mark points off for that. Evidently, based on me saying that it's fine, does imply that I have some issues with the album. I don't love it, but there isn't tons in the creative realm where I can say, this definitely is not what they should be doing. Most of the issues I have with this album are either wanting to potentially add another element through an instrument or production, or the other things are certain choices in the lyrics. But I'm pretty confident that if I were to hear this material in concert, I would feel like I got a good show. I'm pretty confident that they would perform this stuff pretty darn well. My personal picks for this album would be Wildflower, which has a much bigger stadium-like sound to it, and I do like songs like that every once in a while, if you can pull it off, and I think this one suits it perfectly well. Near the end of the album, I also really like Lonely Heart. Now, having said what I do like about those 2 songs in particular, I will highlight a couple more songs, but more in the sense of what I liked and having a couple of elements where, like, this is probably where I would have changed something. The song Best Years does have a song I particularly enjoy. I wasn't totally impressed with the production, but they picked it up at the end, and I wondered, why doesn't it have that consistently? I understand that there should be build-up and there might be a climax to certain songs around the 3rd verse, but I didn't understand why the drive couldn't have started at the beginning rather than at the end. The song Not in the Same Way, this is a song I wish I would recommend a little bit more highly because at the beginning it sounds like a fun song. However, it does kind of daunt you down by the end of it. Some of you might not have a problem with that, but to me it does feel like the repetition kind of weighs down ever so slightly. And then there's one minute detail in the song Thin White Lies. That line, the title of this song, is kind of faded. Like, it's the main line, that's why it's the name of the song. But it's really faded and you almost can't hear it unless you are online reading the lyrics. And that part was just like, okay, I get that you're trying to do an effect for it, but I can barely hear it. All in all, guys, like I said, I don't feel like I'm incredibly super picky with this album. A weird thing to compare it to is it just feels like a nice pair of hands you're looking at. But the problem is, like, you know their hands, each one distinct. This one's slightly longer, this one's a thumb, but it's supposed to be opposable, so you know you get that kind of stuff. But if you wanted to present them in a certain kind of way, like if you were a hand model of some kind, you would present the nails a little bit differently. Maybe there'd be some nail polish, maybe something would be added, at least have a ring on 1 or 2 of the fingers, make something presentable. I don't know. Is this weird? Probably. But that's what I'm going to give you right now. But again, like I said, you can enjoy this album. I think plenty of fans are going to like this album. I don't see really a huge hit with this album, but there's probably one that's probably going to catch on a little bit if it hasn't already and I just haven't been paying attention. But yeah, we'll see what direction they decide to keep moving forward with. So after having listened and reviewed this album with production of 94%, creativity 79%, expression and lyrics 81%, I'm going to give this album a good. I actually would enjoy the idea of seeing them perform again. They surprised the heck out of me. Big time. They're fun, a little rowdy. They know how to get their crowd going. And they're probably going to do the same with whatever shows that they present with any of the songs in this album. So the performances might be better than what I'm giving this album credit for. But again, the end product has been presented to us, and that's how I feel about it. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember, if you want to discover, promote, and review the best in entertainment, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those good things down below, so you can get that yes in your life. See you next time.